단순 현재 시제. 동사원형이 온다. 일반적으로 말하는 시간, 꾸준히 일어나는 일.
She eats breakfast every morning. He works at a tech company. They live in a small town. The sun rises in the east. The cat sleeps on the couch all day. He studies English at school. She enjoys reading books in her free time. They go to the gym after work. The flowers bloom in the spring. He teaches math at a high school.
현재 진행 시제. 말하고 있는 때 진행되고 있는 것.
Am is plus ing. She is studying for her final exams. They are playing soccer at the park. The baby is crying for her mother. The chef is cooking dinner for the guests. She is reading a book on the beach. He is listening to music while working out. They are painting the walls of their house. The kids are playing video games together. The dog is chasing its tail in the yard. He is driving to the grocery store.
현재 완료 시제. 과거의 동작이 현재까지 영향을 미치는 경우.
Have has.
플러스 과거 분사.
She has traveled to many countries in her life. He has studied Spanish for 5 years. They have worked at the same company for a decade. The dog has chased squirrels in the park all morning. The artist has painted several masterpieces throughout her career. She has read all the books in the Harry Potter series. He has lived in New York City for his entire life. They have been married for 25 years. The company has achieved its sales target for the year. The team has won the championship 3 times in a row.
현재 완료 진행 시제. 현재까지 계속되고 있는 상황.
Have been plus ing, has been plus ing. She has been studying for her final exams for 2 weeks. They have been playing soccer at the park since morning. The baby has been crying for her mother for a while. The chef has been cooking dinner for the guests since noon. She has been reading a book on the beach for 3 hours. He has been listening to music while working out for half an hour. They have been painting the walls of their house all day. The kids have been playing video games together since the morning. The dog has been chasing its tail in the yard for a long time. She has been taking a shower for 20 minutes.
5. 단순 미래 시제. 미래에 대한 것.
Will.
플러스 동사 원형.
She will travel to Japan next month. He will finish his project by tomorrow. They will attend the concert on Saturday night. The company will launch a new product next week. The team will play against their rivals next weekend. She will start her new job next Monday. He will meet his friends for lunch next Tuesday. They will celebrate their anniversary next month. The students will take their final exams next week. The doctor will perform surgery on her patient next week.
6미래 진행 시제. 미래의 특정 시점에 지속되고 있는 상황.
Will be plus ing. She will be studying for her exams all night tomorrow. He will be working on his presentation all day next Monday. They will be hiking in the mountains all weekend next week. The company will be launching its new product next month. The team will be practicing for the championship game all week next week. She will be starting her new job next month and will be learning a lot. He will be traveling to Europe next week for business and will be attending several meetings. They will be hosting a party next weekend and will be cooking all day. The students will be taking their final exams all week next month. The doctor will be performing a surgery on her patient next week and will be in the operating room for several hours.
7미래 완료 시제 미래의 특정 시점까지 사건이 완료됨.
Will have.
플러스 과거 분사.
She will have completed her degree by the end of next year. He will have finished his book by the time the deadline arrives. They will have traveled to all 50 states by the end of next summer. The company will have expanded to new markets by the end of the year. The team will have won the championship by the end of the season. She will have learned a new language by the time she graduates. He will have saved enough money to buy a new car by the end of the year. They will have renovated their house by the time the baby arrives. The students will have completed their research project by the end of the semester. The doctor will have treated all her patients by the end of the day.
8미래 완료 진행 시제 미래의 특정 시점까지 상황이 지속됨.
Will have been plus I, N, G. By next week, I will have been working on this project for 3 months. By the time I arrive, she will have been waiting for me for an hour. They will have been studying for their exams for weeks, by the time they take them. By next year, he will have been living in this city for 5 years. I will have been practicing the piano for hours by the time my teacher arrives. By the end of the game, the players will have been playing for 3 hours straight. She will have been traveling around the world for a year, by the time she returns home. By the time the movie ends, it will have been playing for 2.5 hours. We will have been walking for miles by the time we reach the summit. By next month, I will have been saving money for a new car for 6 months.
9. 단순 과거 시제 과거에 일어난 사건. 규칙 동사 원형 플러스 ed. 불규칙 동사 다양함.
I ate breakfast this morning. She watched a movie last night. He ran 5 miles yesterday. They visited the museum yesterday afternoon. We played tennis last weekend. She traveled to Europe last summer. He read a book last night. They went to the beach last weekend. I finished my work yesterday. She bought a new dress last week.
10과거 진행 시제 특정한 과거의 시점에서 지속되는 사건.
Was plus I, N, G, were plus I, N, G. I was eating breakfast when the phone rang. She was watching a movie when I arrived. He was running when it started to rain. They were visiting the museum when it closed. We were playing tennis when it got dark. She was traveling to Europe when her flight got delayed. He was reading a book when he heard a loud noise. They were walking in the park when it started to snow. I was finishing my work when my colleague interrupted me. She was buying a new dress when she saw her friend.
11. 과거 완료. 특정한 과거의 시점 이전에 일어난 사건.
Had.
플러스 과거 분사.
I had finished my homework before my friend came over. She had already left when I arrived at the party. He had studied for the exam, but he still failed it. They had seen the movie before, so they knew what was going to happen. We had booked the tickets in advance, so we got good seats. She had eaten breakfast before going to work. He had read the book before watching the movie adaptation. They had already left for vacation when the storm hit. I had completed the project before the deadline. She had practiced the piano for hours before the recital.
12 과거 완료 진행 시제 과거의 특정한 시점까지 상황이 지속됨.
Had been plus ing. I had been studying for hours before I finally understood the concept. She had been practicing yoga for months before she could do a headstand. He had been working on the project for weeks before he realized he had made a mistake. They had been living in the apartment for years before they decided to move out. We had been waiting for the train for hours before it finally arrived. She had been running for a while before she started to feel tired. He had been watching TV for hours before he realized how late it was. They had been renovating the house for months before they finished. I had been driving for hours before I stopped to take a break. She had been studying English for years before she could speak fluently.